and when, not and remember, and when Abraham was tried, ibtala, batala, but it gives emphasis. Ibtala, that Abraham was tested. Rabbuhu, his Lord, tested him, bi kalimatin, with certain commands. Now, if I just tell you kalima, what is the kalima? What are you going to say? Kalimat is words, but if I just say the kalima, you're going to say La ilaha illallah, right? Ashhadu an la, or La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, right? So the kalima. Abraham's test was to bring him to understand La ilaha illallah. And not Abraham representing himself, but Abraham representing all of humanity. So he was tried. Now, if you study the life of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, the principle. You know, a long time ago we stopped. We didn't get caught up in the picture, in trying to see the prophets in their flesh expression. Because, you know, there's a lot of people who spend time talking about what this prophet looked like, what this prophet's hair was like, his shoulders, the broadness. Right? That's like looking at a stop sign and admiring that it's red, that it has white letters, and you're so much admiring the stop sign you forget to stop. So the message in the prophets is a principle. Flesh dies, brothers and sisters. Now I know there was a time we didn't believe, you know, that there was life after death. We didn't believe that. But flesh dies and leaves. All flesh is the material of the earth. That's all your body is. If Allah would remove the bonds that's holding your skin together, all of us would disintegrate. We would become carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. That would be it. That's your skin, your eyes, your hair. Now you would have some calcium there. You would have some iron there. You would have some zinc there. But if I was to atomize you, all that would be left of you is material earth. Except for oxygen, which is a gas. Hydrogen, right? But God brings that material life together so that you and I can have an expression for our soul, which is abstract. So that's gonna die. So flesh dies, but principles don't. All flesh leaves, but the principles don't leave. The principles live on. So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, if we spend our time trying to see him as a flesh representation, we're going to miss the principle. And it's the principle that still lives with us today. It's the principle that's codified and preserved in the Quran so that you and I can see the principle of Abraham today, real. If we understand the principle has never left. The principle still exists and it's as real today as it ever was. And the principle of Abraham is arriving and are completing the test that God gave you. And it's expressed in many different ways. The biggest one we think about is the sacrifice of his son. You know, our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he didn't have any sons. I want you to think about that as a thinker. He didn't have any sons. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was called to sacrifice his son. And that's the biggest test that we all think about. And yes, the immediate thought to us is a selfish thought. You start to think of your own son. But in the history of man, man has, in his history, held very close and valuable the idea of having a son. Even in the time of Prophet Muhammad. And they will criticize our prophet and tell him, you don't have a son. And they will say, Qad batra, you're cut off. You're cut off. Qad batra, you're cut off. You don't have a son. The one without sons. So, one of the big principles, so listen, there's a lot of principles in this. There's a lot of principles in this sacrifice. What Ismail represents, all those things. But I want to focus on one. This is what man put value on. This is what men, human beings, have put value on. So in our two leaders, you know, Ibrahim and Muhammad, because we have the millah of Ibrahim, which is the hope of Abraham, and the sunnah of Muhammad, which is the way of Muhammad, or the uswa of Muhammad, which is the way of Muhammad, that completes the hope of Abraham, or the prayer of Abraham. What man values is completely taken out of the picture. Abraham is told to sacrifice what man has placed value on. And Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam never even had a son. So in response to the criticism of our prophet, Allah reveals the shortest surah in the Quran. In terms of words, he reveals the shortest surah in the Quran. But it's the shortest surah, but it talks about abundance. It's very small, but it's the whole idea of this chapter is abundance. Right? Inna a'tainaka kawthar. Certainly we have given you the abundance. He had no sons, but he was given the abundance. He had no sons, but he never became involved in idolatry. He never worshiped more than one God. He never was a thief. He never was an underminer. He never was a slickster. He never was involved in any kind of scheme to defraud someone of money. He was never cruel. He was never unkind. He was never unjust. None of these things. He wasn't any of these things. So the valuable things is not the material things that we have made important. The valuable things is the true gifts that Allah has given each and every one of us as human beings. Allahu Akbar. And you can find that good gift in your own human nature. But the world comes and makes things important to you and I. The world comes and makes 22-inch rims important to you and I. They ain't nothing but metal. That 22-inch tires ain't nothing but rubber. So the human being goes get metal, puts it in a 22-inch rim, Make it spin when it stops. Charge you and I thousands of dollars for it, and we're willing to sacrifice our soul for that. We're willing to sacrifice the good God, the good life God gave us for that. We are willing to betray our principles for that. But just like that body is earth and it will be gone in 100 years, so will those 22-inch rims. They'll be gone in 100 years. So will that rubber to be gone in 100 years. You want to sell your soul for a Maybach? In 100 years, that Maybach will be crushed in a dump, like a Coke can or a Sprite can in 100 years. You want to sell your soul for a house in River Oaks? Sell it for that. The termites will come and eat it up. Things that you can't even see, Allah will send them in on you. And the very house that you sold your soul for, some little things you can't see will eat away at the foundation of it. And before you realize it, the whole thing is gone. A hurricane that's strong enough. Well, Brother Imam, we built up to withstand a hurricane. Allah can send a hurricane, blow all those houses away. Like they're popsicle stick homes. Is that worth you giving your soul up for? This is what sacrifice is, brothers and sisters. Sacrifice isn't a cliche. Sacrifice isn't a plaything. You think of that thing you value most. Is it your reputation? So we have to wear. See, we can't wear K&G Men's Store. Right? We have to wear Joseph A. Bank suits. Some say Joseph A. Bank ain't even good enough. I have to have tailor-made suits. Think of what's most valuable for you. Is it your reputation? You're going to mess my rep up. I got an image. I got an image to keep up. Is that what's most important to you? Don't look at him. Don't look at him. Don't look at the one next to you. Look right here. What is most important to you? And ask yourself, can you sacrifice that to please God? Abraham did. So he was tried by his Lord with certain commands. فَأَتَمُّهُنَّ. Tamma means to complete. Atamuhanna means he completed them in a perfect way. And his obedience to God was perfect. So he perfected the task that God gave him. Then he said, Inni ja'iluka linnasi imam. I'm going to make you an imam for humanity. If you're not ready to sacrifice, you're not ready for leadership. I can give you any title I want to give you. I can call you the Grand Sheikh of Sheikh. I call you Sheikhul Shuyukh. I can call you the Sheikh of Sheikhs. I call you Sheikhul Islam, the Sheikh of Islam. But if you're not ready to sacrifice, no matter what title you're given, you will not be any man. You will not be a leader. Abraham earned leadership through great sacrifices. The last one we see is his son. But he sacrificed his relationship with his environment when he was a young man and they were into idolatry. He sacrificed being in the good grace of the king when he challenged him, the man who thought he was God. And he said, "You're not God. My God gives life and death." "Yeah, I give life and death." Probably had somebody killed. They even said, "Okay, my God calls the sun to rise in the east and set in the west." If you're God, reverse the order.